Hello again. Many of the people who comment on this channel reproach me for failing to join up the dots and see what is, to them, glaringly obvious. That is to say, the baneful influence of a small group of people in this country belonging to a religious minority who exert a hugely disproportionate control over our lives in various ways. They have a stranglehold on several banks and other financial institutions. They have engineered virtual monopolies in some businesses, and at the same time they are heavily involved in non-governmental organisations which are engaged in trying to change the very nature of Britain by encouraging mass immigration. This video may serve as my mea culpa, in which the scales fall from my eyes and I finally acknowledge what has been clear to so many people all along. Let us start with a fairly trivial example of the grip these people have on our lives. The trade in chocolate, other sweets and biscuits. This really is big business in Britain, where we have a notoriously sweet tooth. 3 big companies dominate confectionery in this country: Cadbury's, Rowntree Mackintosh and Fry's. What have these companies in common? All were founded by Quakers, of course. Every time you eat sweets, the chances are that you are swelling the profits of companies set up by Quakers. Many of us are fond of biscuits as well. The big name in bickies in Britain? Why, Huntley and Palmer, of course. Another company started by Quakers. This is a small commercial example of how the Quakers are involved in trade and have a stranglehold in one particular field, but their pernicious influence runs a lot deeper than that. Lloyd's Bank and Barclays, 2 of the big players in finance in this country. Lloyd's was founded in 1765 and Barclays is even older. It was around in 1690, before the Bank of England started operating. Lloyd's was of course begun in the Midlands by a Quaker called Sampson Lloyd. This was 10 years before Nathan Rothschild, who everybody cites as a great banker in Britain, was even born. Oh yes, the Quakers were well ahead of the Jews in the banking game. Barclays Bank started in 1690 by 2 Quakers, John Freem and Thomas Gold. Eat your heart out, you Rothschilds. The Quakers were a century ahead of you in controlling British finance. It is often said that Jews exert control not only by commercial means of banks and businesses, but also in politics and especially by non-governmental organisations which promote immigration to Europe from the Third World. Instances of this which are often cited are Georg Soros and Barbara Lerner-Specter and the organisations with which they are associated. Let's see how the Quakers are doing in that field. Who finances all those human rights challenges through the British courts which prevent the removal of illegal immigrants? They stopped the deportation of various murderers and child molesters to Jamaica recently, and they've stopped people being taken to Rwanda. Well, that would be done via the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, a tremendously rich grant-making body which gives money to charities who are fighting to allow open immigration to Britain. I suggest viewers look at what the Rowntree Foundation get up to in that line. The money comes, of course, from the profits from the Rowntree sweet business, the one founded by the Quakers. What about some of the other left-wing mischief-making organisations in this country? Amnesty International? Eric Baker, a Quaker, was a founder member and also former Secretary-General of Amnesty. He also helped found CND. Coincidence? I don't think so. Greenpeace? There were 4 founding members and 2 of them were Quakers, including Irving Stowe. I'd have to mention that the Quakers are in Parliament too. Ruth Cadbury, connected with the notorious family of that name, is both a practising Quaker and also a Member of Parliament for Brent. I've seen Henry Kissinger, former American Secretary of State, mentioned in various anti-Semitic conspiracy theories because he is, of course, a Jew. But what about his boss? Richard Nixon was probably the most cunning and dishonest American president of all time. Guess what? He was also a Quaker. Which American president was in charge when the Wall Street crash came and precipitated the Great Depression, which ultimately led to the rise of the Nazis in the Second World War? Herbert Hoover, that's who, another Quaker. I chose the Quakers because they are the most innocuous and inoffensive bunch of people you could ever hope to meet. I'm very much in favour of the Quakers, but it took me about half an hour to put together a case for Quaker influence in banking, business and left-wing organisations, something which people are always accusing Jews of. If you look for Quakers, you will find Quakers. If you look for Jews, then you're going to find Jews. It would be just as easy to play this game with Catholics, who are also thought to be at the back of many wicked conspiracies against Britain's interest in the past. Some people have Jews on the brain and are always looking for Jews under the bed. They're sure to find them if they look hard enough. As I say, if I had the spare time, I'm sure I could prove that the Catholics were behind every evil that we face as well. It's an easy enough game to play, and perhaps viewers would like to try it, just choosing an ethnicity or religion at random and seeing how far they can go to create a conspiracy theory based around them. As usual, in the description to this video, I give links so that people can check out what I've been saying here today.